She had me when she said biscuits. Hey, how's it going, everybody? This is Jason, Art of Creation Homestead, back at you in the kitchen. We're not canning season's over, but Angela Kay's got a recipe she's going to show you. It's a wonderful sounding recipe. It's chicken biscuit bake. It's like a chicken pot pie casserole, but it's not pot pie because it's in a casserole dish. So we're gonna call it a chicken biscuit bake. Sounds great. Let's go get started. All right.
In this deep saute pan, you want something with high sides and that's kind of deep. We have 1/4 of a cup, which is a half a stick of salted butter.
Smells good too.
And I let it melt, and I even let it toast just a little bit. I didn't let it go as far as brown, but I did let it toast just a little bit.
It smells great.
So now we're going to add a half a cup of onion, which is a small onion, which was grown here. We have a cup of small chopped carrots. See, they're chopped pretty small. And then we have a cup and a half of diced potatoes, which, as you can see, the skin is still on these. This is because these are the small ones from our homestead. The skin is very tender, so that's fine. But if you don't have potatoes like that and all you have is russets, then you'll want to peel them. So we're going to put them all into this beautiful butter. And now we're going to give them a little season with some salt and pepper. Now, salt and pepper, I'm not going to give you an exact measurement. It's to taste. Because some of you like more salt, some of you like less salt. And if you're like Jason, you love lots of pepper.
You gotta have pepper.
So we'll toss this around in this beautiful, lightly toasted butter. And that already looks pretty. Now, we've got this on about medium heat so that they will saute slowly. So, we will let these saute on about medium heat. We will let these saute until the carrots are tender and the potatoes are tender. Our veggies are tender. Now, the potatoes aren't falling apart tender, but you don't want them falling apart tender because this has to cook some more. So you want them just barely tender. So now, and it's smelling wonderful. So now we have about 3 good tablespoons of flour in here. It's just all-purpose flour. You want to sprinkle it over your veggies. This will help you make a roux so your gravy will thicken. Now you stir that around. Let everything get all nice and coated with the flour. And you will see it will become very pasty. And you want to let that cook for a minute or two so that the flour taste will cook out, because you don't want that in your gravy. You don't want that raw flour taste in your gravy. So you'll let that cook for about a minute or two. The flour is coated everything nicely and it's cooked up really nicely into a nice paste. Now over here we have 2 cups of chicken broth. Now you can use boxed chicken broth or canned chicken broth, but this chicken broth was made from the chicken that I cooked for this. We have about 3.5 cups, about 3 cups of shredded chicken. And I just cooked it in the Instant Pot with salt and pepper and about 1.5 cups of water. And cooked it for about 25 minutes in the Instant Pot. And I got all this beautiful broth. So now you will add it slowly. Add in about 1/2 cup and stir. That will keep you from your gravy getting all lumpy. And when it seems like it's absorbed it all, put in a little bit more. And just keep stirring it in that way. That will make sure that your gravy is a little smoother, basically. I'll add a little bit more that time because it's taking it fast. And you're going to make a nice chicken gravy to go around all these veggies, because you're going to add more veggies. You're going to add more veggies and your chicken in just a few minutes. And this is already smelling wonderful.
Smells like eating to me.
Okay, now we'll add the rest of our broth and stir that in. And once we get the broth incorporated, we'll add about a cup of milk. It'll make your gravy creamier and just give it more of a creamy consistency and more of a body. So now we're going to add our milk, about a cup of milk. And you can just pour that all in at one time because all your flour is absorbed into your liquid. So now you don't have to worry about your gravy lumping. So now we are going to stir this all in. And at this point, because the chicken broth is seasoned pretty good because I salted the chicken. But the milk, it doesn't come from the cow seasoned. So you'll want to put just a little bit more salt in there, just a pinch. Not much at all. And of course more pepper. Because I am married to the pepper man.
You need more than that.
I will add more later.
I'm just messing. I'm just messing with it.
Okay. Now at this point, we're going to turn it down on medium-low. And we're going to let that let the gravy slowly start to thicken just a little bit. You don't want it to thicken all the way because you want to add the rest of your veggies. You just want it to start getting hot.
Alright, so now while Angela's getting ready for those biscuits and taking care of what's on the stove, I want to let you know the reason why we really chose to do this recipe is because this is something that you can grow in a small space. You can raise your own chicken, which we plan on doing here in the near future. You could raise your own chicken and make the broth out of that chicken, then use that chicken. You can grow the peas and carrots, which peas are getting ready to go in. You haven't seen that yet, but you can grow peas and carrots and onions and potatoes and use all that here. Which the onions and potatoes is something we did use here. We have grown carrots. We just didn't have any on us right now. We are growing peas, so that's something. All these ingredients to make this one dish can come out of your backyard. And so we just want to show you that, hey, you can grow enough food in your backyard to actually make full recipes, different things, casseroles, pot pies, all these different things you can actually use in a very feasible manner, the food that you've grown in your backyard, even in a small space. You don't have to have a ton of space to grow food that makes a difference in your kitchen.
As you can tell, the gravy is all heated up nicely and starting to thicken. And it's looking very tasty.
Looks great, Ange.
And then we're going to add our 3 cups of shredded chicken.
What kind of chicken do you use?
I just use chicken breast. You can use whatever type of chicken you have in the house. That's what I had left over from in the freezer from other stuff. So that's what I threw in, was just chicken breast. But you can use thighs, you can use whatever you...
You could use chicken left over from a whole chicken that you cooked,
yes.
That you roasted?
Yes, you sure could. Now we're going to add, as Jason told you, our peas are growing right now. We don't have any of our own. So I'm taking a little help from the freezer section. And we're going to add about a cup of frozen peas. And we're going to toss this around. And they're still frozen. That's just fine. They will thaw quickly in here. And once we get this tossed around, we'll taste it and see if it needs any more seasoning, because your filling is essentially done right now. So you have to make sure it's seasoned the way you want it. Needs just a tiny bit more salt. And this is going to please Jason. It does need more pepper.
Told you it did. If it wasn't crusting across the top, it needed some more.
That's too much pepper. Okay. Now, we're going to stir in that pepper. And now, we're going to add a little secret ingredient.
It's not a secret, you're telling them right now. It's not a secret.
So,
see?
We're going to add about 1/4 of a cup of sour cream. It's gonna, the tanginess of the sour cream is going to brighten up your gravy and not make it seem so heavy, because that tanginess is really going to help a lot. And it's going to add a beautiful, even more creamy texture than you already had. And you'll watch it change as that melts in. And it's just going to become, honestly, the filling is just going to become luscious with that.
Luscious? That's a big word. Luscious. Sounds like it's more than 2 syllables, but I guess it's on 2. Luscious. Yeah. It's a lot of vowels for 2 syllables.
Now look at that. Doesn't that look amazing?
Angela K, that looks good. You're doing a fine job.
Okay, now we're going to turn the heat off on this, and we're going to go make our biscuits.
She had me when she said biscuits.
In this bowl, we have 2 cups of all-purpose flour, and to that, we are going to add 3 teaspoons of baking powder.
I'll do something. This is messing with me. You should see it. It's got the light rings.
Oh.
It's messing with my head.
And then we'll add a half a teaspoon of salt. When we use pink Himalayan, you can use whatever salt that you use. So now we're going to take a whisk and whisk all these dry ingredients together. That way all the baking powder and salt gets incorporated into the flour. Now we're going to add 5 tablespoons of cold butter. This is salted butter that I have cubed up. See, you can see I've cubed it up. And it's nice and cold, and you want to work it in with your fingers.
Why do you want cold butter?
It will melt better in the biscuits in the oven if you use room temperature butter. It will end up, you will end up with greasy biscuits because it won't emulsify right into the flour.
The butter fat gets in the flour and melts where it's at instead of being liquid.
Yes.
Loose already. Gotcha.
And if it's loose already, then it just makes things greasy.
Gotcha.
So we're going to be breaking up all of these lumps of butter until it looks like coarse cornmeal, basically. Anybody who's made biscuits knows this step. So I'm not teaching you anything new here if you know how to make biscuits. Now to gild the lily just a little bit and make this even better,
Gild the lily.
we're going to add about 1.5 cups of shredded sharp cheddar cheese. This is white cheddar. You can use yellow cheddar or whatever you like, but we're using, and you will see that it's the big shreds. You can use the fine shredded, but I wouldn't really recommend it because this will give you more of a cheesy bite in each biscuit. Now this is just going to be a drop biscuit, so you don't have to worry about rolling out or anything like that because it's just going to be a drop biscuit. So let me get a spoon so that I can stir this up. We have about 1.25 cups of milk here, but more than likely we're only going to use about 1 cup. So I'm going to pour in about 1 cup and we'll stir it in and we'll see if it's a little dry and we need more, because you want a nice, for a drop biscuit, you want a nice moist batter. You want a nice moist dough. You don't want it to be dry. You want it to be very moist. So we may end up using the whole 1.25 cups. It basically just depends on how the dough looks. And any of you who have made biscuits knows these things. So we're going to add just a little bit more. That right there takes it to 1 cup. That little bit that I added takes it to 1 cup. Maybe a little more than 1 cup. And
so now, what are you looking for in your dough here to tell you that it's wet enough?
Well, you see where it's kind of shiny, but it's stiff at the same time. We're almost there. I'll probably add just a tiny bit more milk because I want my biscuits to be moist, not dry little hockey pucks.
You're probably about 1.25 cups then. You're right at 1.25 cups.
So, but basically, it's going to depend on the type of flour you use, even down to how dry your house is. how much you're going to need.
Yeah.
So,
like if you had your heat running a lot that day for whatever reason, you know, that could dry out your air.
and it could take more.
It could take more.
So that seems to be perfect. See, for a drop biscuit, you want, see where it's real shiny because it's so moist, and see when you touch it, it's sticky. You want it to be nice and sticky. That's what you want for a drop biscuit. At this point, if you don't have something with deep sides like this, or something that's oven safe, you can throw this into a 13 by 9 and drop your biscuits on top of it. But this is oven safe, so, and it has perfect sides, so we're just going to drop this on top and make this a 1-pan meal, which is always a plus. So now you want to drop by heaping tablespoonfuls, you want to drop your biscuits.
This is actually incredibly easy, by the way.
Yes.
I mean, like, I feel like I could accomplish this just watching you do it once. I think I could go do this. Wouldn't taste as good as yours, but I bet you I could do it.
I bet it would taste as good as mine because it's that easy. It's literally that easy. Now, you don't want to put them, you don't want to spread them out all over one big, so it's one big piece. You want to actually drop them in biscuits.
You'll be able to separate them out after it's cooked.
Yes.
It's going to look like it's together, but it's really not. They're separate.
But they will be
separate.
They will be separations.
Yes.
So, there's our last cheesy biscuit.
That's going to eat. I'll tell you, that's going to eat right there.
So, we have our oven preheated to 350 degrees.
Preheated.
So now we're going to pop this in the oven, and just your filling's pretty much cooked. So you're just waiting for your biscuits to get done. I have this baked for about 45 minutes, but that depends on your oven. It could be 35 to 45 minutes. But as you can see, the biscuits are golden brown. You can see the definition between the biscuits, and it looks amazing. So now we're going to dish some up. Let's cut into these biscuits. Oh gosh.
Now, careful. It's going to be hot. That sucker's steaming.
That looks awesome.
Oh, yeah. Too bad you can't see it now. Squeegee. Alright, squeegeed it for. Oh, it's still going.
It's still going. How many biscuits worth you want?
Oh, man, no, I'm hungry.
Look at that.
That's good.
Look at that.
That's good. You're getting some veggies, getting some chicken, all in one. That's good for me.
That looks so good.
All right, let's take a bite of this stuff. Oh heck yeah! Yeah, you're gonna want to make this. All right. Hey, thanks for watching this video. Make this. Everybody's gonna appreciate it. I promise you. We love you guys. God bless you. Goodbye. It's like a pot pile style. Pot pile. It's a pot pile. Some of you guys would be really interested in a pile of pot, ain't you?